Hey everybody, Andy Doutrick here with Centennial Lending Group. Wanted to take a minute today and talk about the cost of waiting and how that relates to making that initial investment into a mortgage. What we're seeing right now is frustration on the buyer's end in terms of lack of inventory, higher prices, and interest rates that seem to be going up. That's leading to some frustration on the buyer's end that's causing people to start thinking about whether or not they should sit it out and wait a few years and get back into the market when things have quote unquote cooled down. I'd like to illustrate for you a couple reasons why that may be a bad decision, not to influence whether or not you should buy a home, but to show you the cost of waiting in terms of how that relates to the fact that home prices are going to continue to go up. Unless we run into another catastrophic financial disaster like we did back in the early 2000s, where properties were overvalued and the appraisals that were coming in weren't valid, you're going to see the need for homes continue to go up, and need is going to drive the price. And when the price goes up, your mortgage payment goes up. I'm going to share my screen with you real quickly, just so that I can show you exactly what I mean here. The total cost analysis. And this total cost analysis was designed to help illustrate what would happen if you were to buy a house in 2021 versus waiting to buy that same house in 2023, assuming that the taxes and the interest rates stay the same. Now, we all know that's not going to happen. Interest rates are going to fluctuate. We just don't know if they're going to go up or down. So in an interest to be fair, I left the taxes and the interest rate the same and just assumed that we're going to continue to see that same aggressive increase in pricing that we've seen over the last 12 months. So let's scroll down and take a look at what happens here. First of all, let's assume that you bought a house and the purchase price was $150,000 in 2021. There's a strong likelihood that if we continue to see the same increase in value, that same house in 2022 and 2023 is going to be higher, which ultimately means you're going to need a larger loan amount to start that same mortgage process and start investing in the equity that you'll have in that home down the road. Here you can see I'm leaving the interest rates the same. Obviously, interest rates are arbitrary and they're going to be different for everybody. But for the sake of the discussion today, I took them at 3.625, which is just where the Mortgage Bankers Association seems to think that interest rates will steady out by the end of the year. Let's scroll down and look at the change in the payment for that same house if you were to buy it this year versus 2 years from now. It's a change of about $150 a month in your payment, and you can see that right here. So that same house, if you bought it this year, would be about $150 less than if you bought it in 2 years. Where we can really start to see the savings compound is over the first 5 years of the loan, you're going to pay roughly $5,000 less in interest than you would if you waited 2 years to buy that same home. And lastly, the average length of a mortgage in the United States is about 7 years, but let's just assume that maybe you stay in this house for 10. Look at the difference in the interest that you're paying over the first 10 years of that loan with buying the house at the lower sale price versus buying the house at the higher sale price. And interestingly enough, you can see that the total interest and mortgage insurance paid over the first 10 years of that loan is significantly cheaper if you bought that same house this year. So my point is this: we're in a very uncertain time in terms of what's going to happen with prices of homes, what's going to happen with interest rates. But what you can control at the moment is your personal budget and what you can afford to pay for a home. Remember that a house is an investment. And that means that we want that investment to be worth more over time than less. So trying to wait to buy a house when you think that the housing is going to be worth less is actually counterintuitive, because everybody else is trying to get their homes to be worth more. So you're fighting the tide. So if you've got a down payment, you've got good credit, you've got a job, think about investing in your real estate this year. Don't get frustrated. Don't sit it out, because ultimately at the end of the day, the people that do buy their houses now are going to be worth more in 2 to 3 years, and you're going to be trying to play catch up. You can get more information at my website, www.andyloan.com. Make sure to follow me on social media, and all my contact information is on everything that I post. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you'd like me to perform a total cost analysis for you. Have a great day.